Hello and welcome to the Digital Mama live webinar. This is the first official live webinar for the Digital Mama, so I am super excited to be here. And today we're going to be discussing Simply Digital. So it's essentially the steps to take to go paperless and rid your desk of all that paper clutter. I want to start with a few items of business. I'll talk about this in the next slide, but I am a digital mama. So I am a mother of 3 and I have all 3 kids at home with me under the age of 5. And so throughout the webinar, just a heads up, you might hear some kids in the background, and it's possible that my newborn is going to wake up at some point during this. So I may be having to put a little break on this, but I still feel very confident that you will get a lot of benefit out of this webinar and to be able to go through these steps to go paperless. Also, the webinar should go about 45 to 50 minutes, depending on questions, maybe a little bit less than that, and it will also be available for download at the end of the webinar, and I'll talk about that. I can't, if you go to your, let me pull up, if you look at the page, there's a little chat box down on the side. I will be checking in on the chat box occasionally. So put any questions that you have in there, and then I'll take a break at the middle and at the end to answer any questions that you have. So feel free, if you think of any questions later, you can also send me an email and I'll make sure to give you my contact information at the end. So, started. First, I'm going to talk a little bit about myself. Like I said, my name is Catherine and I'm the Digital Mama. And I grew up in a very, I would say, nerdy household. I have 2 parents and a brother who all worked in IT, and I was confident that I was going to be like the cool one of us, and I wanted to go into health and fitness. And so that's what I did. I ended up, my undergrad was in public health, and I started working as a health coach when I graduated, and I loved it. Well, not too long into it, it was a smaller company at the time, and they had a project that they wanted to have worked on, and it was technology related. And so I was like, hey, that sounds interested, I'll try it. And I never turned back. I loved it. And essentially what I became was a project manager, and I communicated I was kind of a middle person between the programmers who didn't really speak normal English and the admin and the rest of the company who didn't really speak programming language. And my job was just to kind of translate between the 2 groups. And like I said, I really loved it. But what happened was I moved, my husband went to grad school and I kind of followed him, and we had our first child. And at that point, I found myself at a crossroads, which I think a lot of moms do, where part of me really wanted to stay in this corporate environment and continue to build up that chain. But I kind of knew if I did that, I wouldn't have the life with my kids that I wanted. And so I decided I wanted to transition to becoming a stay-at-home mom, and I would figure it out as I went. And I did. So I stayed home as a stay-at-home mom. I went to night school for grad school, and I did a double master's in MBA and MIS, which is Business Administration and Information Systems. So essentially business and computers. And I just graduated in May and officially launched the Digital Mama. And my goal here was kind of several-fold. On one side was to help the everyday user of technology understand how to better apply the technology in their life. If you go out and you look for like technology blogs, you'll find a lot of overwhelming information about solutions that are out there, and all these really complicated words sometimes about the specifications and the speed of their different, your laptops or your computers and stuff. And it's really hard to understand sometimes why it matters and how to actually apply it in your life. And so my goal really was like, let's create this blog that people who just want to understand technology and how to actually use it in their life can understand. And I do that in 4 different areas: life, family, business, and nerd, which is kind of the more advanced, or where I just kind of geek out on the things I love. And one of my other goals with this was, when I found myself transitioning to becoming a stay-at-home mom, I really struggled because I wanted to be home. I wanted to be there with my kids, but I underestimated how difficult it would be to kind of give up that other side of me. And that's what I found myself doing, is I was just giving it up, and I wasn't trying to hold on to it. And where I really felt strongly is I think everybody, to kind of get sentimental for a second, has a passion. We have a purpose in life. And a lot of people kind of give that up. At least they think they have to be home with their kids. And what's cool about the time that we live at is that we live in this amazing technology-driven world right now, where you can travel the world, whether you want to have the flexibility to travel and see family, or you want to stay home with kids, or you want to be able to work several types of jobs, whatever it is, technology gives you that ability where you can start a business online at very low cost. You can start a Facebook community. You can, make a website for a cause that you feel passionate about, and you can promote that at low cost without really knowing that much of programming. There's a lot of tools out there. Anyway, so that's really what I became passionate about, was helping other, parents and people in similar situations have the life that they want, while also finding ways through technology to fulfill what they feel is their purpose. But that's not why you're here to hear about me. So let's get into what really brought you here, which is the Simply Digital webinar. So there are 7 steps to what I consider awesomeness of going paperless and converting from your paper filing systems to a digital filing system. So I'm not going to read all these. If you have the Simply Digital guide, I'm going to essentially be walking through each of those steps. If you don't have it, you can get it at the end of the webinar as well. So let's start with step 1. Before you even get into how do you convert paper to digital, let's figure out what are the areas of your life that you're actually trying to organize and to make digital. And this is essentially creating, like if you were to buy a filing cabinet and put all your folders in it, how are you labeling those folders? And a lot of people I talk to, this is one of the hardest things, is they're like, how do I just organize the folders on my computer? My desktop is a mess, everything's a mess. And so what I recommend is let's break it down by the aspects of your life. And there are 8 areas of wellness. And so a lot of times we'll kind of just write a list, like, let me write a list of all my folders or all the things that matter in my life. And you'll just write it vertically down a piece of paper. And that just kind of, by default, it prioritizes your list, right? You're putting something at the top and something at the bottom. That's really not how our wellness works. It's not how our mind works. It works by creating what's called a mind map. And a mind map looks like this right here. There's a program called Simple Mind, which allows you to put yourself at the center. And what I recommend is to break off the 8 areas of wellness. And each of these areas of wellness break off the different folders or aspects of those areas that matter to you. So what you're doing is you're kind of defining your life while at the same time defining what folders and organization you'll actually have when you create your digital folders and whatnot. So for example, occupational would be, if you have a folder for getting employed, so like where your resume might be, the specific business that you have, maybe you have a side business that you're trying to start. Environmental would be, I include things in there like my home life, so home decor, anything that, these are kind of like creating, if you use Pinterest, it's like creating your Pinterest boards and organizing them in a way that relates to your overall wellness. So like I said, first you're gonna download, there's an app called Simple Mind. You can do this if you want, or just search mind map apps, or just get out a piece of paper and a pencil and write it down. But you want to break down the areas of your life that you're trying to organize. So second, now that you've gathered, and I'm making the assumption here, I didn't put this in step 1, but I'm making the assumption here that you have papers already, right? You're in your office, you have your filing cabinet, you have your desk full of papers. And so what you're trying to do is you're creating those folders that you're going to be picking up pieces of paper and sorting them correctly. So now we're going to talk about cloud storage and what it is and how to actually set it up. So traditionally, let's look at this little house I made here. In here you have your devices. So when I use the word devices, I'm talking about a computer, your tablet, your phone, and they're things that you are opening up. You're taking pictures on them, maybe you're writing up a paper for school or for work. And in your house, in a traditionally, you would have a desktop computer where you would save a file on that desktop computer. And it would only be, you could only access that file, you can only open up that file on the desktop computer. And so what cloud storage allows you to do is, think of it this way: if you have your desktop computer and it takes a picture that you save. Let's use a picture, for example, and it saves the picture on cloud storage. And I'll use an example for what that would be in a second, but it's like having a hard drive. It's a computer out over the internet. It's somewhere in the cloud. There's a computer out here that you can save a picture on. And so now, instead of having all these devices, you're outside the house and you're inside the house, and you have just desktops and laptops and smartphones and tablets. Instead of trying to save and cross all these devices over here and save pictures and share pictures, now you have this central location that you're saving all of your pictures. You have a central location that you're saving all of your files. And now any device that you get on, any computer, any tablet, any smartphone, are all going to reach into the same central computer to be able to open up those pictures and files. Now, so that's what cloud storage essentially does. It gives you one location to save everything you have so that you can get on any computer and access it. So you might have heard of this concept before. I mean, a lot of people use Dropbox, Google, iCloud. Where I actually find almost the bigger problem is trying to navigate what solution you could actually use. And I talk to people who have a little bit of everything. And they've got some pictures over here on iCloud and some files at Dropbox and work-related stuff on Google Drive. And it's really overwhelming, right? It's everywhere. You don't really know how to organize it. So to break down the cost and what you should actually do, for my recommendation, is these are some of the 4 biggest players in cloud storage. Dropbox, Google Drive, iCloud all have about the same. They're all similar in pricing, but for the actual, for 1 terabyte of storage, which is just, for simplicity, it's just a lot of storage. You probably, most likely, unless you just have a lot of videos and pictures, you're not going to need more than a terabyte. But for a terabyte of storage, you're going to get the most for your money with OneDrive. I also like OneDrive because OneDrive is put out by Microsoft, and so it includes, it's called Microsoft 365. So if you looked it up online, Microsoft and then the number 365, and it includes like Word, Excel, PowerPoint. It includes the version that you can download onto your computer or you can access it online. So it has all those things built into it, which are that you can kind of access to open up files and make files. But then it also includes storage, and so you have this storage right here. It also includes, which we'll talk about in a little bit, under backups, or pictures on your phone. So if you have pictures on your phone or on a tablet, you can actually use OneDrive to back those up all in the same place. So let's start here. So my recommendation is that you use a service, a cloud service like OneDrive, and then you have, like I said, you have personal or home users, and you can get 1 terabyte or 5 terabyte. To start off, if it's just you could get for $69 a year and pay monthly. You can get a terabyte, and that's plenty of space. So that's the step 2. You're going to pick your cloud storage provider, and my recommendation would be OneDrive. And then you're going to create the folders. So take your mind map that you have, set up OneDrive on your computer. This is what it looks like on a computer. You can set it up as a little icon over here. You can set it up on, this is what it looks like when you go to OneDrive.com. You can actually go online and view it, or this is what it looks like on your phone. And so you can have the OneDrive app, and you can see all of your different folders on the OneDrive app on your phone. So you, on your computer, online on any device, or on a phone or on a tablet, you can access all the same folders. So how I do it, like I said, I go to My Documents, and then I create those 8 folders for all the different areas of wellness. And then in each of those folders, I break down each of those areas a little bit more and more. So now that you have your folders created, you're actually going to take all of those papers that you have, or your current filing system, and you're going to scan those pictures into the actual OneDrive. And this is what it will look like. So if you have, look at your OneDrive here, and you have your documents. This is on a computer. So if you go to a computer, you have 2 options to scan. You can use a physical scanner, which looks like a printer. It's a big physical scanner that would plug directly into a computer, or you can use an app. So an app being on a smartphone, on a tablet. This is you download this app from the App Store, and these function in 2 different ways. So let's start with Tiny Scanner because I love this app. So what it allows you to do is you download the app. You can pay for it. They have a free version. The reason I recommend paying for it is for $5, you can connect it directly to OneDrive. So anytime I have a paper, like something that comes in the mail, I open up my app, I take a picture of that item, you automatically can send it to OneDrive. It's called uploading it. So I upload it to OneDrive, and I can pick the folder I want it to save in, and it saves in that folder. And so, I mean, think of that process, right? I have my folders already all set up. I have it on any device. So I have mail coming in, I can pick up my phone, I can pick up my tablet, open up OneDrive, or excuse me, I open up the Tiny Scanner, I take a picture of that item, and I automatically just save it to the folder I want. Super simple, anywhere. I mean, I literally do this. I go to the kids' doctor's appointments, I get paperwork, I get in the car, I take a picture of it. I get receipts, I get in the car, I take a picture of it. Anywhere I'm at, I can take a picture of it and then upload it directly to the folder I want it to go in. Now, the reason I recommend is this is a little bit more expensive. So this is $210. You can look this up on Amazon. And the reason I like this, let's go ahead and take a look at it. So if you have it on Amazon, the reason I like this is that sometimes you need it to be a little bit higher quality. So since the tiny scanner is taking a picture, it's still great quality, but it might not be as professional if you were trying to need something to be signed, or the birth certificate, a more important document. So the nice thing with this is it's going to be greater quality, but then it also can do pictures and slides and negatives and things like that. And so if you have right here, I'm not talking about this in this webinar, but in a future webinar, I'll talk about converting old media. So like old VHSs, family pictures, old negatives and slides to digital. If you buy this, it'll do that for you. So you have these little inserts, you can put slides in there, you can put negatives, you can put regular pictures, and you can convert those to digital, and it's a really high quality. So these are my two by far favorite scanners. Like I said, 99% of the time, maybe 95% of the time, I'm using the Tiny Scanner Pro. I take a picture of my files and then I save it in the right folder. This one's nice though if you have the things that you need a little bit higher quality on. Okay, let's move on. This is just what I was saying, where if you take Tiny Scanner, you can connect it with OneDrive, and it's a super seamless process. All right, so now you can access files from anywhere and you share as needed is step number 5. So if you have OneDrive, you create an account. So let's go back to personal and home. So in personal, you have one user. So you create an email. So for example, whatever your name is at outlook.com. So it's going to be an outlook.com email address, and you're an administrative on that account. You're going to pay $69 a year and get 1 terabyte. Now, if you're a home user, let's say you have a spouse and 3 kids, then you would want the home account. And for a little bit more, so for $99 a year, you would each get an account and you would each get 1 terabyte. So it's 5 terabytes total. The term terabyte, if you don't, that just means a lot, right? It's 1,000 gigs. It's just a lot of storage space. So what's nice about it, like I said, is you can access your files. You can log into OneDrive on your computers, on a desktop, on your tablet, on your smartphone, and you can access the same information. And you can also share information with another user. So if you have a spouse, you don't want to share all of your folders, you can share just one specific folder with each other and access that information. OneDrive also has what's called OneNote. I won't go too much into that here, but OneNote is kind of like it's like a digital version of a notebook. So you can create lists in it and do all these really great things in it. And I pretty much manage my life with it. And so I create a notebook that my husband and I share. And so we can do that through OneNote with OneDrive. And so it's really easy to share information back and forth. All right, I can't stress this enough. So at this point, you have all the folders that represent your life. You've collected all your papers, you're scanning them in, you've sorted them into the right folders. Once they're all saved, and as you do this, you need to back up your files. I literally cannot stress this enough. You need to back up your files. You need to back up your pictures. You need to back up your documents on all of your devices. I get asked a lot of questions. A lot of my friends, they're moms or their families, and they know that I have my backgrounds in technology. And probably the question I get the most is, how do I get pictures off a broken phone? Or can I get pictures off the phone that I lost? Or can I do this? And honestly, you might be able to get pictures off, and you can, but at the end of the day, if you break your phone, if you lost something, no one will guarantee that you can get all those pictures back. And there's nothing more important, because I'm going to stress this a little bit more just because I feel so passionate about this. But the cool thing about the physical world is that you can physically touch things, and it's nice sometimes to have those memories and to feel like, but the awesome thing about the digital world is that you can take a picture that you can hold, that you might feel attached to, and you can scan that in and make it digital, and you can share that with everybody in your family, right? You can email it out, you can put it on Facebook, and it's so, I love that about the digital world, is that it's so easy to kind of replicate things and share it. And the cool thing about the digital world is that with the physical world, if your home burns down, you lose it all. In the digital world, if you have several copies of it, you're not going to lose it. Like if you lost one copy of it, your computer crashes, you should have at least 3 other copies of those pictures. So we have this huge blessing of technology to make several copies of things easily. Please, please, please use it. Okay, that's my rampage for backing things up. So how do you back things up? OneDrive does that for you, essentially. So what happens is you have a laptop, to kind of reiterate what I've already discussed, is you have your laptop, you have your phones, you're connected to OneDrive. Well, now, so let's say I have my computer, and I hope this makes sense. So if I have my computer, let me go back a few slides. This is my computer, and I have OneDrive set up here. If I turned off my internet, these files right here would still live on my computer. So what it does is, if there's OneDrive, let me go back even further. So this is my computer right here, and this is OneDrive. This is my cloud storage. So if I put a big X over my internet, and I don't have internet anymore, I would have a copy of my pictures on cloud storage, or my files, and I would have a copy of it down here on my device. And so that right there is a backup. By using cloud storage, I have a backup of what's on my device. I have 2 versions of it. And so what happens when you have cloud storage is it does what's called syncing. And so if I make changes on my device, it'll sync up and make those changes in cloud storage, so that if I come on in my phone or my tablet, I'll see those changes. Okay, let's move on to other forms of backup. So you have your devices, you have files and documents on it, you have pictures on it. You're backing it up with OneDrive because you're syncing to OneDrive. So that's 2 versions of it. At least, my opinion, at least once a quarter. If you can do more, awesome, but at least once a quarter, you should take an external hard drive, plug it into your computer, and back up what's on your computer. And so at this point, you would have a OneDrive version, your computer's version, and the external hard drive. A fourth, if you're feeling really ambitious, would be using another, this is called a constant cloud backup, which all it does is just duplicate what's on OneDrive and what's on your computer. And it's called Carbonite. It works a little bit different than OneDrive, but it's just, all it does is just push what's on your computer up to Carbonite and leaves it there in this like locked little box. So it's one-way storage, and so it's not syncing back and forth. It's just going up to Carbonite and saving files. So if you did this here, these are the tools that you would need. You would have a laptop computer that have files on it. You would have OneDrive that would be backing up your computer and syncing it with all your different devices. You'd have an external hard drive that once a quarter you would back up your computer. And if you were feeling really ambitious, you would have a service like Carbonite, which it goes on your computer and it just constantly backs up what's on your computer as well. And so like I said, that if you just did those things here, you would have 4 guaranteed locations that your files were all on. And what's cool about that is that all 4 of them are communicating with each other. If you make changes in OneDrive on a computer, it'll make those changes next time you plug in your external hard drive. It'll make it in OneDrive and it will update it in Carbonite. If you make a change to something on your phone, it will do the same thing. If you're using OneDrive, it'll make the changes from your phone, push it to OneDrive, make it go into Carbonite, and then it'll update your computer, and next time you plug in your hard drive, we'll update that as well. So by creating a system like this, you're constantly updating all of your information, all of the pictures as you go. One more thing on backups is that if you're using OneDrive, OneDrive also has a tool for, under OneDrive, there's a little, if you download the app, there's an area called Pictures. And you can actually, any pictures that you take, it'll take those pictures off your phone and automatically put them into that one folder called Photos. And you can set that up on another computer, you can set that up on your laptop, you can set that up on a tablet, and it will do the same thing for pictures. You can take pictures on all your different devices and it will push them all into one place and back up those pictures. So next time you come to me and say, hey, I lost my phone, what do? I say, go to OneDrive, open up your picture folders, all of your pictures will be there. All right, let's move on. Step 7, and the last step, is to embrace and live a digital age. So you've gone through all these steps. You should have all your folders down. You should know the different aspects of your life. You have OneDrive set up. You've created your folders. You're scanning all your documents. You're pushing them to OneDrive. You're backing them up with external hard drives and with Carbonite. At this point, you're just maintaining it. You know, as mail comes in, take pictures of your mail, save it on OneDrive. Once a quarter, go to your computer, plug in an external hard drive, back up your computer. These right here, I just want to give you an at a glance. I know there's a lot of dollars signs going up, give you an idea of how much everything costs. So Simple Mind is free, like I mentioned. These ones with stars is that at a minimum, this is what you would need. You'd buy OneDrive, you'd get a terabyte of storage for $70 a year, and then you'd have Tiny Scanner Pro, which is just one time, and the Seagate hard drive, which is one time. With the hard drive, you could just have things on OneDrive, but my personal opinion is I like to have a backup that I own. Technically, OneDrive is owned by Microsoft. So I like to have my computer with my files and then back it up with a hard drive because those are two different versions that I personally own. All right, let's take a break there and see if there are any questions. So I'm going to pull up. Let's see if I can. So if you have any questions, type them in that box. I'm going to try and see if I can pull it up real quick. All right. Okay, so how does OneDrive distinguish between my phone files and my computer files? Is each device in? No. Okay, so that's a great question. So is each device in separate folders? So OneDrive, I'm going to go open up this. OneDrive, whatever changes you make in OneDrive makes it across all of your devices. And so OneDrive is its own, think of OneDrive as kind of like its own computer. It's like buying a new computer from Microsoft, but they're holding it onto it for you. And so on that computer, you're creating folders, you're uploading files, you're putting pictures on that computer, and then you're using your own computer and phone and tablets and stuff to access that same central location. So that's kind of the concept behind cloud storage. It's offering you one central location. So once you download the OneDrive app on your computer and you download the OneDrive app on your phone or on a tablet, you go into the OneDrive app, you'll see a list of, so this is what it will look like on my computer. This is what I look like when I go to OneDrive.com. And this is what it looks like when I open it up on my phone. They look a little different, but if you see it, they're all the same folders. And so these are actually all communicating with each other. And so if I go in and I opened up, emotional, I opened up my journal and I wrote some changes into it on my phone, if I gave it a few minutes and I went onto my computer, I would see those changes. And OneDrive looks at, it's all central, it's all one thing. They're not looking at each individual device. Excuse me. Okay, great question. And if you have any questions or feedback or things that you wish I covered, send me an email, send me a message. I love hearing the feedback. So thank you so much for coming out today and giving me your valuable time. I'm going to go give my kids a big hug because I can't believe they didn't come down and interrupt me. So take care. And also, if you haven't yet, check us out on Facebook. Go to, in Facebook, you search The Digital Mama. Go to facebook.com/Digital Mama blog, and you can like the page, share it, and we'd love to hear any feedback. Thanks so much. Have a great day, you guys.